The next one on the list that we're going to take a look at is RO number 14256. It shows that there's a overpayment of $200. Now what's unique about this one so far that we haven't seen is it doesn't actually have a payment that shows it's being $200 over. It shows a deposit that's been $200 over. That would initially cause me to suspect that something is incorrectly been done in QuickBooks, that it may very well not be anything to do with the actual account being overpaid. It is some kind of processing error that was done in QuickBooks to cause this. But we have to verify that. So the first thing we want to do is open up this deposit. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that it says this is the Ellis Jesse. This is what caused it to actually be assigned to this account by putting the customer's name in the receive from. And then it says business receivables, which then that also causes it to be as on the account. But it says it's a part return credit from a company check for $200. Well, that doesn't actually make sense. When you actually have a return of parts, if the vendor that you're buying from is got an on-account status, so you're getting a statement at the end of the month, that would be accounted for through the vendor credits in the management system. So when you return a part, it creates a vendor credit, and then it's there when you reconcile the statement. If the account is a COD type account, or you pay by a credit card at the time of purchase, then when you actually return a part in a management system, the vendor credit does not come over to QuickBooks because it's either a COD or paid by a credit card account. So therefore, you get a check in the mail or you get a credit card statement credit, then you would actually enter it in on a deposit like this was entered, but it doesn't go to the customer that you did the job for. It simply goes back to the account that you purchased it from. Now, if this was OEM parts, it would go back to the OEM parts. So it would be a 5,000 cost of goods sold account, not the 1210 business receivables account. And therefore, if it was a used part or whatever other type of part there would be, that's what the account that it would go back into. The general rule on returns is that the return always goes back into the same account that it was purchased from. And that even includes for office supplies or anything that you actually buy. If you bought it out of a certain account, then if you get a credit for it, you put it back in that same account. Hopefully it's in the same month, and that way there's no chance that for whatever reason that may be the only transaction in the month when you return it, and it would show a negative number, which is something that you look at on a profit and loss, indicating that there's probably an error. Now, in this case, so I'm saying this doesn't look right to begin with, but let's verify that in CCC. To verify it in CCC, we open up the repair order, and we go to the Parts tab, and then we look at By Vendor, and we look down through here, and we see that, well, wow, there is an invoice for $200, and there's also a part return for $200, and they were from Phoenix Parts. So if we look at the actual purchase order, there isn't one in here, so we're going to have to look at the invoice itself. If we look at it, we'll notice that it's Phoenix Parts, it's LKQ, so that's where the account that needs to go back into, and it was a partial credit, it looks like. No, actually it was, yeah, it looks like part of it was a partial credit, and it was COD, as you can see, I verified. So this there won't be a vendor credit coming over to QuickBooks from the management system because it's COD, but it is an LKQ part. So now we verified that, and Phoenix Parts is the company. So what this deposit should look like is this should say Phoenix Parts. It would be a 5,000 number cost of goods sold, and we know that it was LKQ, so it should have been LKQ. Parts credit, company check, $200. Now when we do this and save this deposit, you'll notice that the $200 is gone, because the only reason it was here is because you selected business receivables and then charged it from the receive from to this particular customer. And yes, it could have been for that customer, but that's not part of the accounting in QuickBooks. That was taken care of in CCC.